We are officially live. Okay, I'm just checking sure that it's showing up. Let me go to YouTube actually on the actual website.
I can see it.
You can?
I can.
Awesome.
Should we ask?
Let me see. So do you have like two computer screens?
I do. I have on a computer screen.
Oh, that's so cool. Hey, everybody. Let's see. That's so cool that it's showing up. I'm like going and checking and see. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That's so cool that it's showing up. I'm like going. Hi.
Perfect.
I see everyone's.
Hi, everyone. This is so exciting.
Hello. Hi, Janae. Hey, Melissa. How's everyone doing? I think that's going to be my first question. How are we doing? Lauren, you start us off. Let me know. How are you doing?
How are we doing? What is my favorite saying? Doing well and highly blessed.
Come on, doing well and highly blessed. I like that. I'm going to do that one. Doing well and highly blessed. I am like good. I just got done helping our friends move. So, hey, Janae. I don't know if like hey, y'all too. Hey, all these wonderful comments. Saray.
Oh, so many friends.
Everybody. Everyone comment and let us know how you're doing. Welcome to Planning Together. We're just here. We're just going to talk. We're going to talk about planners and goal setting and productivity and all those fun things. So let us know. Comment by letting us know how you are doing today. Oh, thank you. She said we're looking fabulous.
So fun.
So much fun. Okay, while you guys are commenting, also, I want to know where are you guys tuning in from? Where are you guys tuning in from? That's so good to know. So good to know. Okay, Lauren, I'm just going to start us off real quick. I want to know, what was your first planner?
Okay, so for those who don't know me, I am Lauren of Plan with Laur, and I am currently based out of Boston, but I originally grew up in the South. So my parents are both in the military, so I grew up a little bit of everywhere, but I went to high school and I went to college in the South. So now I'm in Boston, which is close to my friend Saray, who's hanging out with us over in the comments. But my first planner, sorry, I've already forgot.
What's like the first planner that you remember like using?
Okay, so the first planner that I remember using, I don't know if anyone remembers like in middle school when you would get the like little planner that came with school orientation. Maybe that was just something that my school did, but it was just, that was the first planner. And I have to say, like, my planning heart kind of hurts because I never used it. I think every year I just like threw it away or like doodled on it. So I didn't use one of those, but I really started using planners in college. And so I actually used to use a passion planner in college. So it was way before Passion Planner is what it is now, which is an amazing brand. And, you know, just has so many possibilities. I love looking at all the Passion Planner spreads, but that is like what I started with originally.
Oh, okay. Passion Planner.
As you can see, yes, I've always been an hourly gal. So as much as I can get.
I knew that. I knew that. Wait, okay. Okay, so the middle school planners, like that was totally a thing. Like I remember having one of them, like, and at the end of every day, they would make us like write out like our homework and stuff. And so I just always got into that habit of like writing things out in middle school.
Right.
They were nowhere near as pretty as like the planners that
planners we use now.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we got people tuning in from a little bit everywhere. We got some California. We got some Chicago, some Southern New Hampshire, close to Boston, Ohio. Oh, come on, Texas. Yes, Texas in the house.
Ooh, represent.
I love this. Thank you guys for joining us. We were just talking about kind of our first planners. Okay, So just a little bit about what to expect tonight. Planning together. This is just our time to like connect and hang out. I'm gonna have a guest on every single week, and Lauren is the first guest ever, and she's so fantastic. And I can't wait for you guys to get to know her even more. But just to talk about like pretty much how are we showing up for our lives each day. We get one life to live, and I believe in living it well. Yeah. And so this is just what these conversations are about. And if we get to talk about pretty planners and pins and stickers along the way, listen, I'm for it. Okay, so. Hey. Lauren, you grew up with two military like parents, and you grew up in the South. Can you talk about how kind of like growing up, particularly in a military household, has like shaped you into like goal setting and your planning and just your outlook a little bit on life?
100%. First off, I see Greenville, South Carolina in the comments. I went to Furman University, which is in Greenville, South Carolina. So I lived there for 4 years. So just want to do a huge shout out to that.
Come on, Greenville.
I know. So I grew up in a household with two military parents, which I think, at least in my situation, there was a lot of connotations that I grew up in a really strict household, which is just the furthest thing from the truth. And it's funny now because, I'll go back and see my parents with their military friends, and they always refer to them as yes, ma'am, and no, sir, and all of these things, which is just not how we talked in our family. And so I think there was always kind of this misconception of like, oh, you must have grown up in a house that was super strict, that was always scheduled, that was all this. And it literally is the furthest thing from the truth, which is really funny. But I will say that my planning heart comes from my mom. And I know she's tuning in right now, so she's probably laughing. There she is. My mom. But my mom worked in military logistics, so she's always had a mindset for plans. And she's always been the one that if we were going on family vacations, it was like, all right, we're waking up. These are the 3 parks we're going to. This is what we're doing. It's funny because she's not one to schedule in time for eating. So sometimes we would like not eat, not for any factor of like not being hungry, but just because it was like, all right, where are we going? What's next? My boyfriend, John Michael, we went on a family trip, and he came to Cuba with us when we went to Cuba. And he just was we were there for 3 days, and he goes, I need a week after traveling with your family, because it was like up, out, here we go on this tour. This is where we're going. This is where we're heading. And so I think that's what I grew up in, and it just made sense to me. And I'm also, because of that, like I'm a very much a self-proclaimed type A person. And so it's funny, even my friends, like when I want to chat with them, I'm like, okay, here's the times that I'm free this week. Pick a spot and we'll talk on the phone, Okay. And I think that sometimes comes off as not being flexible. I don't want that to I think flexibility is the key in any type of planning or any type of situation. But it's just funny. I think I've always just been planning inclined and wanting to have a plan. And I think because I'm someone who sets a lot of goals, I'm always kind of forward planning and forward thinking about like, how am I going to achieve this next step? Whether it's just a baby step of something very small I can do in one day, or what's that going to look like, at a 3 month, 6 months, 1 year term. So I hope that answers your question.
No, that did. And speaking of goals, okay, first off, I just gotta pause for a second. Y'all are really hyping us up in these comments.
I know. Oh my goodness.
Cute, and y'all are just making me feel all good about myself. Thank you, Katie and Saray. Y'all, come on. Y'all are the best. Okay. I get scattered. Okay, so I know you're really into goals, and so how did that passion develop? Specifically in the goal setting realm. Have you always set goals? Was it something that you really got into in college?
Right.
And then, I know us planners want to know what planners are you using for your goal setting system? But just tell us your whole entire planner stack while you're at it, just let us know.
Okay. This might be long. Buckle in. No, I'm just kidding. I think I never identified true goal setting until the past couple of years. I think I've always said, this is what I want to achieve, or this is what I want to do. But I never said, here's my goal and here are the 10 steps that I'm going to take to achieve it. There are always things in the back of my mind, like if we go back to college, like clubs I wanted to join, which I guess it would say that's a goal to join those things. But I never was like, here's my goal and here are my steps to achieve it. And so I think that is kind of where it started. I think most of my professional background up into the job that I'm in now, where I work in corporate marketing, was in the event planning sphere. So my goal setting kind of became a part of that job because the end goal was this awesome event, you know, but it's like, what are the steps that we're going to take to get there? And so I think, again, I was able to kind of couch that into, oh, this is my job, but it was giving me the foundation to goal set in the way that I goal set now. And I think that is really important. And so I think then that just as I have learned about what I like for goal setting, how I like to goal set, that has just changed there. So let me grab my planners. So for goal setting, I'm using mine.
Our stack. Listen, I want to know what y'all are into. So let us know, what planners are you currently using? Okay, let's see.
Yes. So I have my Moxie Life Planner for goal setting. And I will truly say that this is, like I said, it's the first couple of years that I'm sitting down and being very intentional with my goal setting, which I think is needed, you know, like, I think that's I like the structure of that. And I will say that now I'm pretty new to the Moxie Life, but this is a system that is working for me already so well. I think that there are a bunch of different planners that are out there and a bunch of different companies that are out there. And let me tell you, I've tried them all, but this system is the one that I'm loving. And I think the reason I love it so much is that there is that section of pre-work. So you have to be intentional of like really defining what your goals are, where you want to see yourself, things that you're working with. And it has different categories. And I am always one to say, like, make the categories work for you.
Yeah.
You know, because like, listen, work might be, for me, might be corporate, might be social media. Like, you know, I think you have to make, and I say this all the time, of like your planners, your goals, all of that should be for you at the current space that you are in your life. And I also am a person, the reason I'm really drawn to Moxie Life and some of the other different planner companies is because I think you got to be constantly reevaluating. You know, each iteration of your goals should build on top of each other. And what might work for you in one quarter may not work for you in the next quarter. And so I just really love that about the Moxie Life. I also love that I'm not necessarily visiting my goals every day, because I'll be the first one to say that if I had to think so intentionally about every single one of my goals every single day, it would just overwhelm me and I would have no time for myself or no time to nurture other parts of my life.
Yeah.
So I'm loving the Moxie Life system because we're checking in weekly. And sometimes I can sit down and be like, okay, Saturday, I'm just going to go 1 through 10, like knocking off the things that I need to knock off in regards to goal setting or to help me, my one little step for this week to help me get there. I also can leave it blank and just be like, hey, this week I got too much going on, so I'm not gonna work on it, you know. But since I'm having to think about it weekly, that to me has been just so important. And so I'm really excited to keep jumping into the Moxie Life Planner and to just see, you know, planning, I think for everyone right now is a little crazy and everyone's buying all the planners, you know, we're all just trying to figure out what's working right now.
Yes.
But I will say that one really great thing that's come out of it is that I found the Moxie Life Planner. So
I love that. And it's so funny because I'm reading all these comments and people are just like, I am using all the planners and there's so but there was a really good question that Saray had brought up and you touched on it a little bit. I'm going to pull it up. She says, she said, yes, tell me, how many goals do you set? And like getting overwhelmed with the Moxie Life. And so I love that question because I think so, like you said, it's so easy for us to look at and think that I have to like fill out all these different goals. And honestly, with the Moxie Life, I'm not afraid to leave stuff blank. And so there's like a lot, like I know there's like 8 different areas you can set goals in the Moxie Life. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm honestly, what it comes down to me, when it comes to like my goals, it's like I can set all the things, but for me, I had a mentor kind of like help me figure this out. Like if it's not in line with my heart, my home, and my health, like those are the things that I'm thinking about each day. So it's like those are the goals that I'm constantly worried about. So it's like I only set goals. Like I said, I'm really good at setting the small goals and like what can I accomplish today? What can I accomplish this week? Don't ask me what I need to do next year because it's just not good for me. Okay.
No,
no, you're good. My bad.
Okay, good. I think that's such a great question. I know that right now I'm working on 5 goals that I'm just being super intentional about. But with all of my goal setting, and this is just a system that I've worked really well for me, is I set a goal for the quarter.
Okay. Lauren, are you still there? I think Lauren broke up for a second. I'm going to text Lauren. Because did Lauren go out on you guys? Let me know in the comments. Did she like pause for a second?
Hello?
Yeah. You're back. Okay, you're back. You're good.
Okay. Where did I get cut off?
Okay, you said you were setting your quarterly goals.
Yeah, so I set quarterly goals. And right now I'm working on 5 goals, and they're super overarching things. It's funny, I see Saray in the comments saying, is it okay to put laundry as a personal goal? Yes, 100%. One of my goals right now is making a home. My boyfriend, John Michael, and I just moved into a new apartment. And part of making a home is figuring out what is my routine going to be like in our new home? You know, what's that going to look like? Sometimes one of my goals right now is finding a routine, you know, and that might change from week to week. And so I think it's important to, and you, Darian, and I were talking about this earlier, is I think when we are on Instagram and when we are on social media, we only see people who have achieved their goals. You know, we might get like a little glimpse of like, oh, I failed here, but we see people when they've done all the really great things. And I think it's so hard. And like what I hope to do with my platform, and I know what you're doing with your platform, is like talking about those uncomfortable moments, about when our goals don't work out, you know, when our goals aren't coming true, and saying like, that's okay, you know. And sometimes we're going to drop a goal. You know, I'm starting off with 5, who knows, at the end of the quarter, I might only achieve 1, or I might achieve none, or I might achieve them all, you know. It's just all going to go in there. So that's my goal setting planner. The other planner that I have one of the Erin Condren binders, which I will be the first person to say that I did not like the binders when they came out. I just was like, this will never work for me, and, you know, never say never. So I am using that right now as a content planner, just kind of putting out some big goals and big dreams that I want to talk about, and things that I really want to deep dive into. And then I also am using a daily planner right now that looks like a Post-it note or a piece of paper. But I am in the process of trying a couple different planners. And then one I don't have with me, because I don't really call it a planner. But you'll hear me say a lot that I really think that we have to use the resources that we have. My tagline is to say, to plan today for a better tomorrow. And I am currently in a simplified weekly planner, but I don't use it as a planner. It lives on my bedside table. And I am a person, because I'm always forward thinking, because I'm always trying to be as productive as I can be, I lay awake in bed every single night thinking about the million things that I have to get done. And I've had mentors and bosses say, like, email yourself your to-do list for the next day, so you get it all out right before you go to bed. But then it never works. I'm like, oh my goodness, I forgot to put this in my email that I just sent myself. So I keep a planner next to my bed that I use as a journal. And sometimes I stay up and I actually can write gratitude and all of these different things in it. But more than likely, it's me just writing down what is in my mind. Sometimes it's like a one word that might spark some creativity later. Sometimes it's a couple to-do lists or things that I need to get done or that I think I need to get done. And sometimes it's just jumble to make sure that at least it's out there. I think I'm constantly worrisome or worrying that I'm going to forget something, you know, and that one thing might like be the most revolutionary thing in the world. So I know that's also something that I'm trying to work on and like nurture, is being okay if we forget some things. You know, life will go on and we will get there, but I have been really like loving that weekly planner.
Oh, that's so cool. And I love how I love that. Like, you're just like, I don't have to use it like this. I can use it however I want to. And there's something that you also been saying like throughout our time together, that essentially, like, I think Emily Lay says, is like holding yourself to a standard of grace and not perfection when it comes to goals. And then I heard it also today, like, it's not about like being perfect, but it is about like progressing and like getting better, you know, each day at a time. Like, we don't have to be perfect when it comes to goal setting, but we can just do it one small day at a time. Okay. Someone put a goal in here that I really want to highlight, and I think you can speak to this, Lauren. Okay, so Gina says, I have fitness goals that I track daily, monthly, and yearly. This all culminates with a destination race. Looking forward to Disney. So Gina, are you talking about like, is this like a run, like a Disney run that you're trying?
Yep, this is my mom. If anyone didn't know, Gina is my mom. She's
hey, Mom.
But so I can talk, and my mom's my best friend. She knows this, but she inspires a lot of my fitness goals, truthfully, because we were so close. And then I went off to college, and like, that was just a big shock to the system. And so one of the things that we started to do is, she had recently retired. I had gone to college. I gained the freshman 15. And so we were like, let's work out together. But how do you work out with someone who's not 3,000 miles away, but who's so far away? So what we did is we signed up. It was my mom's 60th birthday, I believe. And so we signed up for a half marathon. And my mom was like, you pick the half marathon, we'll do it. So I'm like, okay, we're going to Disney World because I love Disney World, and we're doing the Princess Half Marathon. So we literally like decided that, signed up for the race, and neither of us, like, I don't even think I'd run a 5K before. And so what we did is we started training. And so my mom would say, okay, I went out and did 3 miles today. Like, you have to go. And because my mom is who she is, and because I am who I am, like, we had to like take a screenshot of our mileage. So we couldn't just say like, oh, we did this, you know. We had to really be accountable to one another. And so we built our way up to a 5K and then a 10K. And then we ran a half marathon together that year. So that was 2018 is when we did that half marathon together. And then once a year since then, we go to Disney World and we run a race, and it's the best race in the world. I can say I run a lot of races. My mom kind of thinks, or I've kind of turned into a runner, I guess is what you'll say. So I did my first marathon this year, which was really awesome. And so Disney has this, they call it Castle to Chateau, and you run a half marathon in Disney World, and then you run a half marathon in Disneyland Paris. And so that is our next goal that we'll do. So that has to be 2 half marathons in 1 year. So that's what we're working to. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the state of the pandemic and travel and all of that, because I know that is our number one safety. But yeah, so that's how we started, and it's now we run all the time together. She's currently running way more than I am right now, so I'm actually kind of jealous.
Okay, well, I love that so much, because I think who said it? I think Kate said it. She said, oh man, I need that kind of accountability in my life. And I'm like with her. Like, I'm like, I need that accountability. Like, and so I think a lot of times we talk about goal setting. First off, you and your mom are amazing. My mom's my best friend too. All my friends who are watching right now can attest to the fact that like my mom's my best friend. So I like totally like get that. And I love that like you guys share that love of running together, and that you guys took pictures to show each other, to motivate each other. So with accountability, and I'm gonna ask maybe a few more questions, and then I know we all have questions for Lauren that we want to so amazing. So we're definitely gonna have time for that. With goal setting, like how do you find, like when it comes to accountability, like how do you keep yourself accountable to your goals? Like, are there people that are holding you accountable? Are you pretty much self-driven when it comes to that?
I think, and as I'll probably have said with everything, I think it's a little bit of everything. I think when it comes to some of these goals, there has to be somebody else there to hold you accountable, because I am my worst enemy. You know, I'm the easiest person to say like, oh, well, I didn't get it done today, so it's over with. So I think that having someone is so needed. And I truly think that like, it is the biggest blessing to be somebody's accountability partner. Like, it is just such a blessing to be able to walk along someone and provide that guidance, even if it's like nothing physically that you're providing, just a text message of encouragement. When I started planning this year, the planning community just ended up being so great to me, because I met somebody on Instagram who's now a friend, who I said, I need a goal buddy, you know, someone who's going to check in on me, who's going to hold me accountable, who's going to tell me, you know, like, hey, this doesn't really look like it's going towards your goal. And she has been awesome, you know, and I think that has been so great for some of those larger goals. I think part of it at some points, you know, is going to have to be self-motivated. And I think that's harder. And I think that really kind of goes back to some of the pre-work that a lot of goal setting requires. And I think that even if it's not set pre-work, you know, even just like some journaling prompts or things like that, because I believe that if you are emotionally invested in a goal, you know, it's not just like a bucket list item of like, oh, I want to do this, but like, this is something that I'm very emotionally invested in, then you will do what it takes to get there. And like, sometimes, especially right now when the world is crazy, like that's going to look different. And we might it might look slightly different than what you originally thought it was. And I think now I'm going off on a tangent, but I think this is why I love planners so much. And one thing that I don't think that the community does enough is like talk about these awesome things. Like when I look at my planner, it is a physical reflection of all the amazing things that I've accomplished. I think it is so easy to say like, oh, well, like I had this weight loss goal and I didn't get there, or I was supposed to run this race and I was slower than I wanted to be. But if you flip back through your pages and you're looking at like, hey, remember this one week when I ran 10 miles, you know, or you flip back through your pages and you're like, remember that time that I made time for myself and went to the spa, or I went camping with my family, you know? I think anytime you do any of those flips through your planner, you see just all those memories, whether you have pictures or if it's just words, you know, like your planner, I don't know, to me, while it's my brain on paper, it's also this physical reminder of all these amazing things that I've accomplished, even if in the moment I don't realize them as anything special.
Oh, I love that so much. I feel like that should be our challenge, you know, for today, is that I think everyone who's watching, you know, after live, we need to like flip through our planners and go through a week, just pick a week out of this year. And we need to like celebrate something that we've done. It can be a previous planner, whatever, just pick something and like, let's celebrate it. And you know what? We should all post it and let's just
tag us in it.
Yeah, tag us in it. You can use the hashtag planning together. Whatever you want to do, but tag us in it and say, this is what I'm celebrating, because I would love to see that. I think so many times we focus on like, oh, I didn't do this, like you said, or, you know, and it's, okay, we hold ourselves to a standard of grace, but I feel like we need a lot more celebration and a lot more like, just like, look what I have done. I love that so much.
Yeah.
And now my wheels are turning so much. And there's so many questions that I want to get through that people are, you know, asking. But one thing you were talking about, like the planner community. And so I know, like, right, of course, there's all this stuff going on in the planner community. So I guess my question is, what do you think we as the planner community can do better at? Like, how can we like be a better community right now with like just in the midst of all this time, right?
Yeah, no, I think that is, first off, such a really great question. And the first thing that I come back is to like remembering our why. I know that there was a planner challenge that went around. I did a YouTube video about it, but I think, and whether you choose to share that or to not share that, like I think remembering what planning means to us, because like, yes, the stickers are pretty, and I love the smell of Mohawk paper, and I love to try out different pens, you know, like I could watch Saray's pen video on repeat for hours, you know, and so exactly. So it's like, I think truly remembering why we got into planning for me, as much as it was coming from a military background, it also is like, I deal with sometimes very crippling anxiety, you know, and planning is something that I'm able to say like, okay, how am I not going to let that battle win today? Yeah. And so figuring out, let's forget about the stickers, even though they're so pretty and, you know, there's all of that going on, but let's get back to why we plan. I think that a little bit is one of the things that the community can do. And I think also too, the second thing I think of amazingness that has come out of the craziness is finding new people to engage with. I will say that I've had the best conversations. I have like just jumped into so many people's DMs. This is also an open invitation to jump into my DMs whenever you want. You'll probably get a voice message because as you can see, I just like to talk rather than text. But to just meet new people and celebrate those new people and to make those connections, you know, I think that's awesome.
I love that. Getting back to like why we're planning and slide into the DMs, y'all. Like I don't
literally.
I love talking to people. There was one more thing, and then I'm gonna like you guys. So if you have a question for Lauren and me, let me know. And just comment, and we're gonna take the time to answer any questions that you have. Can you talk? I've seen this on your story today, and people have been. I was talking to my friend Katie K Plans, who's here also about it. The Peloton situation. Okay, like it was all of my story, and I just messaged her. I was like, Katie, what in the world is this thing? Like, I don't need a bike. I don't need a bike. Okay, so again, how long have you been using it? Is there like a planner Peloton group out there? Because we were talking about fitness. People saying we need a fitness planning thing. Like,
yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I was talking to someone today who was thinking about creating like a Peloton Facebook group. I'm not 100% sure if it's there, but would 100% recommend getting the app. So that's actually how we started, and we refers to my boyfriend and I of getting the app. I think so many people are like, oh, I don't have a bike, so I can't use the app. First things first, absolutely false. Like the app has meditation, it has outdoor running, it has indoor running, it has yoga, it has strength training with and without weights. It just has any type of workout that you want to do. So the app is really great. And then when the pandemic hit, opted to buy a Peloton, which has been really great. And it's been really awesome to work out on it. I like to run. I like, you know, so that cardio part of me. I also don't want it to be unrealistic. So I will also say that like I, until today, haven't got on my Peloton for 2 weeks, you know? So like, just because it's in the house doesn't mean that I am always on it every single day. As with any type of goal, like I think there's a give and take of some days I'm on it every single day. Other times, you know, I skip a little bit here and there, but I really do love it. My boyfriend this week bought a tray that can go over top of it, like so you can put your computer on it. So now I can take conference calls that way. Again, these are things I can do. I have not done yet, but so if anyone wants to chat Peloton, let me know. I think it is so great, worth the investment. There are different financing options depending on what you want. It's great. But start out by getting the app first and foremost to see if you like the way it is. There is definitely something about going into a gym and being in some of those workout classes. So just try the app out first.
Okay, I think I am, because I know Katie had also mentioned that it was like a 30-day free trial. So I think I might be trying that.
Yeah, 100%.
Tattoo Teacher Plan says, when we were talking about goals, she says, I'm good with big ideas. It's the little things that I have a problem with. I work in spurts and want to be more consistent. Listen, can you help me with my big goals though? Like, here honestly, and help me. Okay, so y'all, if you have any questions, now would be a good time to ask them. There was a question, I'm trying to find it, that came up from Maddie Rose. She said, Hi, Lauren and Darian. I have many goals, but struggle to fill out my planner because sometimes jotting down my thoughts isn't aesthetically pleasing, aka bad handwriting. Any suggestions?
For me? Okay. So the first thing that I always say is that I think sometimes when we're posting things on social media, we get caught up in the comparison trap of like, oh, well, like this isn't pretty, or I didn't lay this sticker down in the proper way, so it's not going to do well. And, social media, part of that is like a little bit of instant gratification that you get with that. So I always think there are definitely days in my planner that I will never show. There are weeks in my planner that I will never show on social media because they are important. I think just getting more comfortable with that is okay. Like everybody's handwriting, no matter what it looks like, is important to help you if you're choosing to write out all of your different goals. So I think putting pen to paper is always just the first step. And I also think just kind of being consistent with some of those smaller things are the biggest thing. And I am not the best budgeter. And again, we love Saray's videos when it comes to budgeting. But one of the things that she has taught me is even if I don't have a budget planner, even if I'm not actively tracking my budget in the way that others are, is to just write something down related to budgeting every day, whether that's how much I spent, whether that's, something I'm anticipating to buy, whatever that may be. And so the number one thing I always tell people when we talk about goal setting is just writing 1 or 2 things down every single day. And it might just be right now, the thing I'm writing down is like drink water, So every day I'm writing drink water. And that is just a reminder of like, okay, I got to make sure I drink enough water today. So that's the first thing that comes to my head. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, well, you pretty much said my thoughts, like the same thing. I'm just kind of like, especially like with the handwriting, and I think it's so easy because we all just want to, post like the pretty pictures on Instagram and whatnot. But I think it kind of goes back to what you're saying before, like remembering why you're planning. Like at the end of the day, this is just Darian, and y'all get a little freaky sometimes, but this is me. Like at the end of the day, you brought that planner so you could live with a little bit more intention and use your time a little bit more wisely. So I think instead of getting caught up on the handwriting part, I would get more caught up on what is my goal and what am I trying to do? And like, I got to get this thing done. So I want to write it out. So I would just take the attention away from my handwriting ain't the best to this is my goal and this is my dream and this is what I'm working towards. And then also, I mean, listen, there's a sticker for everything now. So like, listen, Hand Can Plan has these really cute stickers. Like she literally, like, her handwriting is so beautiful, and she like wrote laundry and put it on a sticker. And I'm just like, listen, if I ain't got the right, handwriting, then I'm gonna like buy a sticker with someone who does have the nice handwriting, and I can just use it that way. And if you are on Instagram, here's also another thing, like just I guess a little practical side of it. Like after I think because we can get caught up on the handwriting thing is take a picture of where you just lay out your stickers first. And then you don't got to post a picture of what you write down. A lot of people do like the pictures of like the before the pen, essentially. So if you are on Instagram and you are caught, but at the end of the day, like I want to follow you and like support you because I want to see you go after the things, you are planning, getting caught up on the handwriting. And so.
Yeah, I think that last point that you made is so important. For me, it's something that I've struggled with of, if my planner's not pretty enough, people are going to follow me. And I could not be so wrong. People follow you because they are genuinely interested in your thoughts and your ideas. And so like just embracing that, I think is so awesome.
Yes. Okay. Another question. Katie asks, Darian, are you horizontal or vertical in life? Oh, this is such a hard question. Okay. I was horizontal all the way up until like July. And then I was like, let me try this vertical layout because I felt like, and you, Lauren, I would love to know your thoughts on this. Is it easy? Okay. I always find it's easier to use sticker kits and the stickers in a vertical layout than a horizontal layout. And I don't know why. And I think because up until this year, I had been planning vertically all throughout college. So like for the past 8+ years, I've been planning, in a vertical layout. And so I was so used to putting stickers that when I got to the horizontal, it was like, I'm going to try to make it work. But now I'm like team vertical, horizontal. I don't know. It's more like Frankenplan, but right now I guess I'm team vertical because that's what I'm using for the remainder of the year. But do you find like it's easier to use sticker kits in the vertical or in the horizontal?
I will definitely say, I think for me at least, it's easier in the vertical. And I think Sierra said something the other day that was like her theory of like, if you like to plan for time, then you like a vertical layout. And Sierra is the creator of the Moxie Life Planner. But if you like to plan based off of task, then you might prefer a horizontal planner. And I think that to me has been very true if I like go back and look at the way I use different planners. But one of the things I love so much about the Moxie Life is that it is so easy to uncoil and recoil. I mean, it takes all of 2 minutes that if 1 week you want a vertical and the next week you want horizontal, it's like the best of both worlds.
I love that. And that's interesting because I'll be straight up. I love my Moxie Life, but the coil, it's not my favorite coil, but in terms of like repurposing it, and it's like so easy to just take the papers out and put them back in. So I love that aspect of the coil. Well, I don't like the coil at the same time.
I completely understand that.
Here's a question. Okay. Tattoo Teacher Plan says, Darian, you talked in a recent plan with me when setting your weekly goals about how you ask yourself something like, what can I do to be the best? Can you briefly talk through that one more time? I think I know what you're talking about, and I'm also going to get Lauren's thoughts on this. So I was saying in this recent plan with me, how when it comes to weekly goal setting, specifically the reason why I love setting small goals is because I simply just ask myself versus what I want to do. I ask myself, who do I want to be this week? Who's the person that I need to be this week? Who do I need to show up this week? And for me, I needed to be a good wife. It was our anniversary week and I wanted to celebrate that. And so I wanted to be present. This past week, I wanted to show up for my artistry. So I wanted to get back into like my classes. So I said, I want to be a good wife this week. I want to be a good artist this week. And I want to be healthy this week. So I like was determined to like wake up a little bit earlier this week and like have my devotion time and maybe do yoga. I actually did it today, so that was good. So when I set my goals, I always, it's weird. I can't get caught up on the things I need to do. I'm more so focused on the person I want to be. And so that was just something small that I did with my weekly goals. And so Lauren, do you have anything to add to that or even like things to share when it comes to setting weekly goals or even smaller goals?
Yeah. I mean, first off, I wanted to say, I think I love that. I love trying to say who the person I want to do rather than the task, because I will say I am a checklist, like task person, and I think sometimes that gets confused with being productive, but you can also be checking off a million things on your to-do list without being super productive in the day. And again, another thing, constantly balancing, constantly struggling. So I really love hearing that is the way that you approach goals. I also think just like one of the things that I know really helps me is how can I set myself up to be the best version of myself? And that might be, just for example, like a couple weeks ago, we went on a vacation. So it was like, how is I going to get my house ready for us to leave on vacation, or to be ready for when we get back from vacation? So I think it's pretty much kind of the same mindset of what you're talking about, maybe just worded a little differently, but I think that is so important.
Yes. I love hearing that. Okay. So Ray said this, and I really like this. And Lauren, I'm just going to throw this question on you. I was like, listen, I might go off on some tangents. But so Ray said, comparison is a real struggle sometimes. When I start to feel it, I actually avoid consuming more content and focus on the things that work for me. Then I go back to support the community. And I believe she was talking about that in the planner community when we were talking about like the handwriting thing and the photos. So my question for you is, how do you handle comparison? Because let's be real for a second, y'all. Like when it comes to goals and just trying to like live our one life well, it's so easy to get caught up into that comparison trap and feel like I'm not living like such and such. I'm not like, so I want to know, how do you handle comparison?
Yeah, no, that is something that again, one of those iterations that I'm constantly thinking through, and like what's working for me right now might not work later. So I think the first thing is I want my space on the internet to be a positive place. And I know that one of the phrases that I live by, and I live by so many phrases, but one of them is that everybody's feelings are valid. And I think that that's something that, and I also live by the other phrase of like, always assume positive intent. So I think especially on Instagram, when we're talking about interactions that you're having with people, that is the way that I kind of like to approach that. In that same way, comparison is always going to be real, and that's always going to be something that you think about. And I think, I mean, this goes back to our why, and why we establish a why, and why, you know, how many times can I say why in one sentence? But why we establish these things is to always to be able to go back and to refer to that. And I know for someone who's relatively newer to the planner community, I came in and I planned the way that I plan now, and nobody planned like me. And I was immediately thrown off, and I was like, I have to change my aesthetic. I have to change how I'm planning. I have to change how things look to fit in, you know, to grow on a platform, to do all of these things. And if I could like go back and tell myself like, no, you don't have to do that, because people follow you for you and the authenticity that it comes with. I think that that is also one of the things I would say. I also too, like, think that sometimes being on social media, we deal with a lot of toxic positivity. And so I really like to follow accounts and things that relate to my goals, but that are also, you know, like places, I mean, because there are people on social media who I follow, I'm like, oh my goodness, how are your kids doing today? Like, did so-and-so graduate from first grade? Like, what are we doing for snack time? You know? And so like, I want to have, I like to see those types of things. And so I want my social media, as much as it is a place for me to post my own things, to also be a place that I enjoy being on. You know, I don't want to enjoy it too much that I'm neglecting other parts of my life. And I think I have finally found the balance of being able to figure that out and work with that. But I also just think like us knowing that we can put our phones down, I think one of the biggest things that is so great is like setting time once a month to put our phone down and to not be on social media. And like, I will even say I've been the person who's like, okay, I'm not on my phone, but let me go look at Facebook on my computer, you know? And so being able to step away from that and reevaluate. And I think that's one of the things that I love about goal setting. And now I'll go back into my planners, is that when I plan, now sometimes I film my plan with me's and I'll put that online, but I have made it a kind of like a little mission of mine to not do every single plan with me online, because planning is also my happy space and it's how I disconnect from the world. And so every once in a while, yes, I'll log on, and it's usually during a week that I have a little bit more going on, but I do like to spend time every single week, just like for an hour. Or, I mean, y'all are planner people. We know sometimes we're like half a day planning, but spending that time being really intentional, working on my goals, working on things that are happy. I love to sit down with a glass of wine and Netflix. I'm loving Money Heist right now, if anybody's watching that, and like just plan, you know? And sometimes planning looks different. Sometimes it's writing cards to people, you know, but just being kind of in my own space, and having those safe places to escape to, but that's still with something that I'm passionate about and something that I love. And I have different hobbies. I don't want to just sit here and say all I do is plan. I mean, that's a huge part of my life, but I love to cook and I love to run, and I love.
Okay, let's rewind for a second, because you just anybody who knows me, okay, I don't mind cooking. It's just a whole thing for me, because with cooking for me comes the dishes, and I'm just like me and cooking, it's a little bit like Robert, my husband, loves to do all the cooking in our household. So you help me, because I get on your Instagram and this girl is making like cherry bombs, cherry pie, and I'm just like, Lauren,
I
how
think
does that whole cooking thing start? Like, you're also into like meal planning and meal prepping.
I love meal planning. Yeah.
If you could give 3 tips about meal planning and meal prep, or however many tips you want to give, like what would they be?
Okay. First and foremost, like meal planning is great, but the flexible meal planning is what we need to, is what I preach. And flexible meal planning, for anyone who doesn't know what that is instead of being like Monday night I'm eating this, Tuesday night I'm eating this, Wednesday night I'm eating this, what you do is you sit down and you make an assortment between 3 to 5 meals. And now I only live with my boyfriend, so it's only 2 of us, so we can let those meals extend to some of those other things or other meals. But you make 3 to 5 meals, and you night of, you choose what you're going to eat. So you prep these meals and you have them. And guess what? Sometimes those meals are a frozen pizza. Like we're not always 100%. Like you need some easy meals. You need some meals that you might, eat a little bit of, and not eat a little bit of. Sorry, that didn't make sense. You need to have meals that are going to be easy. Some meals that you might have to do a little bit more prep when it comes to doing. But whatever your night is, that night, because we cannot predict what every day is going to be like. I might have the best intentions to say like, this is how my day is going to go. Here's the 10 things I'm going to do. Here's the meal I'm going to eat. And we're going to be in bed by this time, let's say 9 times out of 10, that doesn't happen. So with a flexible meal plan, you are able to eat or prep or do what you need to do the day of. And that's a decision you don't have to make until an hour or 2 before dinner. So I really preach the flexible meal plans. So whenever you see me meal prepping, I might subconsciously put meals on different days, but we probably don't stick to it. And the other thing that I wholeheartedly preach, and this saved my life in the pandemic, is freezer meals. So I know people hear freezer meals and you think like, oh, like, what are they called? I don't even know what freezer meals are called anymore, like lean cuisine or whatever. And those are great. But what I like to, the
Hungry Man dinners. Okay.
Yeah. So, but those aren't the freezer meals I'm talking about. I'm talking about freezer meals that you prep in advance. So about every couple months, my boyfriend and I will go to the grocery store, and I will make 12 meals, like full meals. We are cutting things up, combining sauces, things like that, and we freeze it. So when a pandemic hits, and where we lived in Boston didn't have Instacart for 10 days, we had meals that were already there and that we could pull them out, and they were full meals. I'm talking like ragu sauce. I had like chicken fajitas, like all these different things that are already pre-prepped. And I have so many resources on like how to freeze greens versus like what liquids you can freeze versus what liquids you can't freeze. And I pack them in Ziploc bags. When we do them now, we try to use more sustainable containers just so we can keep reusing them. But yeah, so those are the two. I love to talk about meal planning. It's also funny because up until a couple years ago, I was like, I only eat spaghetti and I was the biggest, pickiest eater in the world. But I think cooking has very much expanded my taste palette.
Yes. And there's this comment that Katie K says that I want you to speak to real quick. Okay, my thing is I hate having to come up with meals. Listen, I feel like me and Robert, every single week, we just sit here like, are we eating the same things over? So like, how do you come up with your meals?
How do I come up with my meals? I wish I had a better system than Pinterest, but that's how I come up with 10 of my meals. There are a couple key things that we try to do. Again, we're only making 3 to 5 meals a week. So we're not like every single meal every day. So we try to come up with something for lunch, and maybe 1 or 2 different meals for lunch that usually includes like some type of protein. So if we wanted that to be chicken, we'd look up for like chicken recipes. We also do just have a list of favorites. When I originally moved to Boston, I didn't start my job for 3 months. So like I went on this whirlwind of like creating all these crazy recipes for like 3 months to try out what we like. So, and usually each week we pull out like 1 or 2 of our favorites. And then we always try to do something that's like a little healthier or more plant-based. And so that's what we do. It's also too, like my favorite thing is to shop my pantry, is to shop my refrigerator. So one of the things we do a lot is I call it an everything frittata. It's not really frittata. What it is, it's just everything that's about to expire that I cut up and I throw in a pan, and then I throw a couple eggs on top of it. And that's my everything frittata, but then we can eat it. You can put it over rice, put it over pot, you can put it over all these different things. You put it over a salad. So
I love that. And I'm like over here, like so sad because I know our time is like coming to a close here soon. But I guess like if I could like ask you to answer one more question, it is, how would you say that you are planning what matters, like right now? What does it look like for Lauren to plan what matters? And how are you just, showing up for your life in the midst of all the craziness going on in the world?
Yeah, I really love that question. I think the first thing that comes to mind is I am not a good person when it comes to self-care. Just am not. I get so much joy out of taking care of other people, out of helping other people. I'm a helper by nature, you know. I know you and I have had conversations. I'm like, Darian, I have to tell you this, before it leaves my mind. So I want to help people as much as I can. So I know one of the biggest goals for me right now, one of the things that I'm trying to incorporate more is some of those self-care, whether that's logging off, whether that's giving myself permission to show up in different ways. One of the things that has helped me the most, my best friend taught me, and I write like a permission letter to myself. So I have sticky notes and I have them all over on mirrors and in my planners. And I say, I give myself permission today not to respond to YouTube comments, and I'll stick that somewhere. Or like, I give myself permission today not to wear makeup to work, whatever it is. There are all these different things. Or I give myself permission today to eat half a cherry pie, all of these things that, I don't know. I think when she explained it to me, I cannot remember who this idea comes from, but when you're younger and you're in school, your parents have to write you these permission slips. I give my daughter permission to go to the zoo today, to do this today. And so we are kind of conditioned to think that to take care of ourselves or to do things for ourselves, or even sometimes to just do things in general, we need the permission and the validation of other people. And so I am constantly trying to break that down for myself and break through that. And so in that, I'm constantly giving myself permission to do these things. And sometimes I do need that physical reminder. I do need to physically write it out to say like, okay, it's real and it's out. So that's something I'm doing. I love sticky notes. So like the more sticky notes, the merrier. But that is how I'm trying to be intentional and show up right now, at least for myself, so that I can be the best version to show up for everybody else.
I love that so much, and so much that I want us all to answer this question, thanks to Lauren, is what are you giving yourself permission for? I think that's a great way to end this time together, everyone. I want you guys all to comment below and tell us, what are you going to give yourself permission for? I'm sitting here thinking like, what do I need to give myself permission for? And I think I'm giving myself permission to work from a place of rest. Like that's something that I feel like I've been wrestling with for the past couple weeks. In my quiet time is, what does it look like for me to work from a place of rest? I think it's so easy, even though we've been quarantined and the COVID has caused a lot of us to be at home, and it's given us a lot of chance to rest, but it's still, a lot of us, are still working. Some of us are still working from home. We have our kids at home. We have all this stuff going on, even at our house, that we're still busy within our house, and so I think it's asking myself, well, how do I work from a place of rest? Like before quarantine, I don't know if I said this before, but y'all, I was not in a good place. I was not healthy. I was burnt out. I was running on empty. I was working like crazy hours. My best friend's like in the comments right now. She can tell you like, yeah, girl, she would be like, you need to sit down. And it's like from this place of hustle. And that's what we live in. Like we get on social media and we see people saying, no sleep, working 24/7, like, know, all, like that's what this hustle culture, and it's so prevalent. So I think I just got to give myself permission to rest and to be able to work from a place of rest. Like if I can't do something 5 times a week, but maybe I can do it 1 time a week. That might look like from a place of rest. Maybe I don't go to the gym, but I work out at home. Maybe that is, working from a place of rest. So that is what I'm giving myself permission for. Permission to rest. I see. Okay, way to call me out, friend. She was doing Saray says, I'm giving myself permission to not have to check off everything on my list. I love that.
Yeah.
Jessica, my friend from Holistic Healing, said, giving myself permission to make mistakes. Yes. And then Tattoo Teacher Plan says, I'm giving myself permission to take a break from a goal. Yes.
Yes. I think one of the things that just came to mind here is I'm also giving myself permission to not always say the right words, you know?
Ooh, yeah. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that so, so, so much. Y'all, my phone. Y'all, this is so, oh wait, oh, there's more. Okay, me time. I have 2 little kids that are 18 months apart. In the past 4 years, I've had to put them first and neglect myself. I'm learning it's okay to have me time once in a while. Yes, Kinsey. Yes. Lauren says, giving myself permission to downsize my action steps. Yes, 100%. You guys, I love this. I love this. And then there's another one, do more of what I want to and less of what I should do.
That's amazing.
I love that. Y'all, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much. Lauren, do you have any closing words before we head out and we say peace?
No closing words. Thank you, Darian, so much for bringing me on as your guest. I'd love to come back if you have me at some other point. Girl, I've had so much fun with you guys. Like Darian said, and I've said before, I'm Plan with Laur here on Instagram and YouTube. If you want to hang out, have some fun things coming down the line, and just so excited to be able to share my heart with all of you guys. Thank you so much, Darian, for this forum.
Thank you so much for joining me. You guys follow. I'm going to put Lauren, all her stuffs in the description box where you can find her on YouTube, her website, Instagram,
all the things,
all the things. But y'all, thanks so much for joining. And you guys will find out who will be joining me next week, this Sunday. So be on the lookout for that. I'm so excited for our next guest next week. But I'll see y'all next week. Bye. Thank you so much.
We had so much fun.